So let us create the sign in and register pop-up for our website. So head back to our code. At the bottom, just before the body, I'll add a comment. Call it sign in and register modal. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a div that will contain everything, all our modal, and then we'll have another div that's going to act like the transparent overlay, and then we'll have another div that will contain the contents of the modal. So let me just create the full div. So I'll make the width and the height to be full, and I'll make the position to be fixed. I'll make the top equal to 0 and left will be 0. Then I'll give it a flex, and then I'll align it to the center, item center, justify center. So I'm going to add another class called Modal. I'm going to use this to toggle the visibility of the entire pop-up. So I'll add another div. This div is going to act like the overlay. So I'll just give it a class that says Modal overlay. And then I'll give it an absolute position. And then I'll make the width to be full, the height to be full. I'll give it a gray background. And then I'll make the opacity to be 50. So let's see how that looks in our browser. Okay, so we have this overlay. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this div since it acts as our overlay. I'll just add a comment and say the overlay, and say the overlay ends. Okay, so I'll add a div here that's going to contain the modal content. So just call it modal content. I'll have a notification here to let the user know if their login was successful or not. So just add a comment for that. We'll get back to that later. And then let me just create the register form. And then I'll just create a div. I'll give my own class of register form. We're going to use that later. And it's going to be a grid that has 2 columns on large screens. So I added a breakpoint of 2. Register Y. Okay, I'll make a register right side. Then I have another comment that says register right side end. So in between those two, I have my div bg white, give it a rounded large, also give it a shadow. You have the shadow large, and then I'll align the text to the center. Okay, just see, let me say text gray 900. Oops, I made a mistake somewhere. Okay, and in there I'll have my form. So I'll just create, before I do that, let me create the text. So I'll say text to L, because I want it to be big, font bold, and then I'll just say register an account, and then I have another text that will be small, extra small. Just copy this, paste it there, save. Okay, so that it's behind, so I'll give it a Z index to bring it up to the front. So just add then instead of 10, I need to add some padding. Okay, let's see what we have now. And then the next thing we're going to do is to add these 3 input fields. So at the comment that says input group, and then I just create a div. I just give it a margin bottom. In here I have my input. I'll give it appearance of none just to remove any defaults, and I'll make it rounded. I'll make the roundiness large. I'll give it a full width, some padding in the Y direction. I'll double that in the X direction. I'll give the background is gray, light gray, so I'll make it PG 200, and the placeholder, make the placeholder gray 900. I would remove the outline when you click inside it, so add the breakpoint of focus, and then I'll say outline. Okay, type is text. I also need to add what the placeholder says. So placeholder will say name. I just wrap that around. I also give it a name for when we're submitting the form. The name will be name. Okay, so let's see what we have in the browser. Refresh that. So we have this. Actually, I can still see, okay, the outline. Here should be outline none. Save that. Add some margin bottom here. Just copy. I already have one of these. So I copy, paste. This one will be called email, and name will be email. Same with the type, and then this one will be called password. Change that to password. Save. Let's see what we have. To add a div. On large screen, I want that to be like, on large screens, I want that to be side by side. So on large screen will be flex. Actually, we'll give it a flex row reverse, just to show you that you can, when I do it, I'll show you justify between, okay. So we see that the text was first and then this other one second, but with flex row reverse, I will add the button first, and that will just reverse. That will like change the order. So in there, I'll say button, give it a BG of accent because accent was yellow. I'll give it a hover of BG secondary hover. Make the text to be white. Make the font bold. Because it's a button, I just give it a padding on the Y, and also on the X should be more. Make it rounded full. Okay, let's see what that looks in there. I'll say, okay, make a mistake there, and then I just make it an A tag. I'll just say text secondary, and then let's just make it a hover color. Let's give it a base size. Now it's a hashtag. As I click here to sign in, that is an underline. So later on with JavaScript, we're gonna make that switch. The two of them. Let's add this X button. So I'll go all the way to the top where it started. I'll just add a comment that says exit button. So we're going to use positioning to do this. Okay, so just add a div and just make it a flex, justify, and I will just push it to the right hand side. Just give a little padding. In there, I'll just add the image from correct, so I'll check. Close. Okay, close modal actually. So what I'll do is I'll give it a class, and then I'll give it a cursor pointer so that when the mouse is on it, let me refresh. You can see that the mouse changes to a hand when it's on it. And let's add some margin here and there. In the register form, okay, I'll add some padding there. Okay, I could just bump this up to 8. I'll come here at the comment that says register left side, and then I'll say register left side, and so in between those two comments we're going to now put the left side. So for this we're going to use some positioning. So div, I'll give it a position of relative, just make it rounded large, give it some shadow, then I want it to be behind, so just make this 0 because the one on the right is 10, so this will be lower than it, so that it kind of like stays at the back. And okay, I'm gonna add an image as the background, so I'll give it a BG of cover, and then I don't want the background to repeat, so I can say BG no repeats. So as an inline style, I'll add the image, in our styling, I'll say left, let me go with 50px. So what I'll do is I'll just give it a margin. It's a margin of 4 on all sides. That should push everything inside. So what we have is Google button, and then this register notes. This is where I'll add you. So I'll just add a div. I'll say text center. Let's make our button. I'll just call it Google button. This is my own class. We're gonna use that later in the series. Give it some margin at the bottom because I need some space there. Then make it BG white. Give it some shadow. I'll make it rounded. I'll add an icon in there, so I'll make it flex so that we can arrange the icon and the text side by side. Make it justify center. Because it's a button, I'll give it some padding on the X and a smaller one on the Y. The text is gray, so I'll make the text gray. Let's see what we have. Oops, put a hashtag in there. Let's add the icon. Then I'll give it a kind of margin on the right so that it pushes the text a bit to the right. And then I have my text. I want the text to be extra small. Okay, to push it out to the bottom, let me just add a padding top here, say 32. Let me add some margin on the X direction, and just add the text. I'll make the text to be small, and then just give it a white color, and make it text center. Just copy that text from XD. Come on. And paste that there. Okay, the text is not white, so let's see text. Okay, so I'll go back to the right side of the form. I need to put all of this in a form. So just create a form tag, the action, no action yet. So I'll just give it a class. And in here, I'll add some more, padding and margin. Give it some in the X, give it more in the Y direction. In the method of this, I'll make it post. I'll also give it a class, my own personal class. I'll call it register form. We're going to be using that in the JavsScript section. So just make a space there, copy all of this, I'll cut, and then I'll paste it in there, and then let's see what we have. So I'm going to look at what we've done. So let me just see how that looks on mobile. So mobile, we want to hide this portion. So what we're going to do, we're going to look for the left side of the form. Where is it? So by default, we're going to make it hidden. Then on large screens, we're going to make it inline. So if I refresh that, I'll make this text smaller. Is it click to sign in? Okay, so I'll make the text a little bit smaller, or very small actually. So on the left side, I'll add a padding in the X direction. I'll make that big, and then I'll refresh to see what we have. Large screens, we can see that portion. Then on small screens, it comes down to this. So we're going to do the same thing for the login. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just copy and paste this and make some few changes. But before I do that, one of the things I'd just like to add, we want this agreement to show also on mobile view. So what we are going to do is I'll copy this section. I'll go to the right side after the button region. Let's see where let's paste it here, but I'll make the text to be black. And then on large screens, I'll make it hidden so that when we're on large screens, that will be visible, but when we get on small screens, we can see here. Okay, then I think another thing we need to do on mobile is to also make the Google button to be visible. Okay, so let's see, we're gonna copy that. Where is it? Google button, sign in Google. You know what, I'm just gonna copy all of this, come down here, paste it, and then in here I'll say large, hidden, and then change this to black, and copy, then put the text in there that says or, but I'll give it a class. I'll just give it a margin in the Y direction of 4 both ways. I'll make the text to be gray, 600. So it's gonna say all this. Let's see what it looks like. So on large screen is hidden, of course, and then on mobile we have all sign in with Google. So what we're gonna do, as I said before, is we're gonna copy all of that and just quickly make the login. So where do we have the register form? So copy all of that. I also copy with the comment. So let me add a comment that says register form end. I'll copy all of that. I'll make a copy, and then I'll just go and I'll change this to just gonna change all of this to login, or rather call it sign in. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's see, we have this, we have exit button. Okay, sign in, and then it says get access. I'll just copy this. Sign in, get access. So take that off. Okay, change this to sign in form. Go down a bit. The sign in form, we don't need the name, so delete this. We need the email and the password. Then here should be sign in. And for the sign in, the colors are swapped, so I'll cut this, paste in the hover, and take the hover and paste it here. So they're all swapped. So here would be, click here to register or sign in with Google. Let's take this off. The both of them are probably going to be visible. But let's just have a look at this. Click here to register. So when we click here, we'll make this visible. Okay, cool. So we have that up and running. Now for us to see just the sign in, how it's going to look, we can hide the register form. Where is it? We can just do that by simply adding the hidden class for it. So I think I've gone all the way up. Let me just search. Okay. So we can just add hidden here. So we have our sign in. So by default, we're going to have our sign in showing, and then the person clicks on here, it takes them to register. So in the next video, we're going to be finishing up with this landing page by making this footer. See you in the next video.